Welcome back to the Island Shuffle. Wow.
We're your hosts, James.
And Bean. I talk like this now.
It's been a big week.
It's been a big
Bean
week.
got hit in the throat.
I got hit in the throat, and I don't really have a throat anymore, and this is how I sound.
You have become that person on the cigarette packet with like the little hole in the old throat.
That's me.
What people never mention is like the wonder it does for your voice.
Oh, I sound like a dream.
Exactly.
Or maybe a nightmare.
It's like if Louis Armstrong were more menacing.
Yeah. I always listen to Louis Armstrong and I think, whoa, this guy doesn't sound threatening at all. He sounds lovable.
He sounds bubbly, yeah.
Now, what if... Okay, that's actually hurting my throat to do, so I'm going to stop doing it because we have several more minutes to talk.
Let's stick the old throat back in.
Yeah, let me just... All right, we're good. Today, what do we do on this episode, on this sweet television show that we call Island Shuffle? So the premise of this podcast is we watch the television show Lost about the plane crash on the island and mysterious things happen. What do we do a little different is we watch it in a random order. So this week's episode has nothing to do with last week's episode except for whatever we decide it does. And this week we watched Season 5, Episode 11. And the episode was called Whatever Happened, Happened.
True. You were speaking about how the Lost sort of centers around mystery and whatnot, and to me the real mystery is how this episode got greenlighted.
Well, that's more the whole season, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah.
I understand that you might have some questions about what the nature of things. Were you able to kind of piece it all together?
I think I have a rough idea, and I've also accepted that. Even there's a really telling piece of dialogue in this episode, which maybe we'll talk about more directly later. But basically, it's like, should you really understand?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, when they're talking about time travel, it's sort of fucked, but it sort of summed up my thing. Like, okay, I'm just okay not knowing some shit.
I believe it is. Hurley says, "I don't get this," and Miles just replies and says, "Get used to it."
That is it. Perfect summation of like a viewer's experience watching this absurd like last 2 seasons of this show.
It's really something special. It's really on another chill. We should mention that this episode was dense with stuff in a way that no other episode we've ever watched has been.
It was by far the busiest episode we have ever watched.
There was a lot going on, and at the same time, not much going on, but it's still a lot of things happening.
Yeah, absolutely. The best part about that was there was so much going on in terms of the main plot and so much going on in terms of the flashback segments. And then there was also this really fucked up shit with like Ben going on that didn't seem to have any bearing on the rest of the plot.
Yeah. Where do we start with this? Okay, so last time we watched the season 5 episode, you may recall the subject came up that they are in the past. They are in the year 1977 or so. They're living among the Dharma folk, the Dharma Initiative, who have come to the island to do all kinds of wacky hippie research with this wacky hippie island.
They have wacky hippie vans.
They have wacky hippie vans and wacky hippie attitudes. Anyways,
wacky hippie hair.
They have wacky hippie hair, let me tell you. So the gang is also back in time and living in secret among them. And we mentioned last time that that Saeed at one point shoots a young Benjamin Linus. And this episode takes place in the immediate aftermath of that happening.
Does he shoot him in that in this episode?
In
or
like
does
in like the previously
previously on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Previously on.
That was
Lost.
good. That was a good scene.
Yeah, it's a pretty good scene. Saeed's not thrilled about it, but also he kills Benjamin Linus because Benjamin Linus grows up to be a monster.
He doesn't kill him.
He doesn't kill him.
Shoots
Sorry,
him.
I misspoke. He shoots him.
Also, that's what the thing about that scene that struck me was he shoots him once and then just like calls it a day. He like walks by the body, but it's like Saeed has been established to this point to like understand how to kill a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a little bizarre for me that he wouldn't like make sure he killed the person that he was trying to kill.
Well, that gets at the moral center of the episode. The moral question that it asks is it okay to kill a child if that child grows up to be a total fucking monster? Which Benjamin Linus does grow up to be. He grows up to be a real piece of shit. We've seen just last episode, he agreed to send some folks to steal some pregnant women.
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing. He just wanted to steal a couple pregnant ladies.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, there was only one.
There was only one, but he still was like, I need that pregnant lady.
Give me that pregnant lady.
And like, you know. So, and he locked Jack and the gang up in cages so that he could get surgery instead of just asking like how a person
normal
would.
Person,
like,
instead of just like pay a couple $100,000 like a normal fucking person.
If you can afford a crazy lifestyle that you lead, I think you can afford a surgeon.
Yeah.
Just go kidnap a surgeon. You can like kidnap a surgeon.
Go pick one up.
Yeah.
They're easier to find than pregnant ladies.
Yeah. You
depending on where you are.
Yeah, you go to a hospital, you'll probably hit a surgeon before you hit a pregnant lady, but who knows? I mean,
a lot of pregnant ladies in there,
that's
too.
true. I think this all kind of fell apart on us, didn't it?
They sort of go together, yeah.
So the whole forward momentum of the episode is carried by this child is dying, but this child is also going to grow up to be a monster. How do the various characters react to this? Some characters say, fuck it, let him die. And other characters say, absolutely not. We cannot let him die because it's wrong to kill a kid no matter what.
I feel like the only character who does the fuck it, let him die is Jack.
That's true. I mean, Saeed does it also.
Saeed, yeah.
Saeed obviously does it.
But he's not even in this episode.
That's true. He is barely
he's
present
just a
in this
flashback.
episode.
But I was sort of surprised by that.
Yeah, it's a stunning turn from Jack. Basically what happened.
I wasn't surprised by Jack's. I was more surprised that no one else wanted to let him die.
That is interesting, and I don't necessarily disagree with that because everybody's. I mean, if you're back in time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They know who he is, and they've witnessed firsthand him like murdering a bunch of people.
Yeah, he does so much murder.
Yeah,
they could have really like Saeed could have saved everyone a whole lot of trouble. But before I start getting ahead of myself. Sawyer comes into the house and says, "Hey, Jack, this kid's bleeding out. Juliet's doing her best, and we need a real deal surgeon to actually help us out
RDS.
Here. An RDS, a certified RDS, DDS. No, that's Bernard.
What's DDS?
That's dentist.
A dentist.
A dentist surgeon.
He's bleeding out of his teeth, Jack.
Well, don't come to me. Go to Bernard.
Saeed shot him in the teeth.
In just one tooth.
Right, a real big hole.
Oh,
guess he won't need to get his wisdom teeth taken out, am I right? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
You ever bleed out your teeth?
For kids? Like for fun?
Yeah.
No, it's bad. It hurts.
Oh.
Yep.
That's good. Dude, it hurts. Hurts so good.
You're a weirdo.
I guess bleeding gums are a thing.
Yeah, they are a thing. That can happen.
That's why you shouldn't floss.
That's why you shouldn't floss, because if you do floss, your gums bleed. That's how flossing works. So Sawyer's like, we need a person to come fix this child. And Jack says, you know what? Nuh-uh. I'm not going to help. And Sawyer's like, excuse me? And Jack says, you know what? I came back in time. Maybe we're coming back in time to let Ben die. Maybe that's the reason we came back in time.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, fine, fuck you. And Sawyer fucks off. But, like, it's a stunning turn of, like he gets confronted repeatedly by multiple people. Kate later on goes like, hey, what the heck are you doing? You can't just do that. And Jack's like, I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and make sandwiches. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what my purpose here is? I don't know what my purpose here is, but, fuck Ben.
I like how this is the first time we ever see Jack just, like, do nothing.
Yeah, it's
which is sort of cool. I sort of enjoyed that.
It's interesting, but it also doesn't make that much sense, but it is an interesting turn for that character, for sure.
Yeah.
I think Jack is a person who would look at... I would totally do by that Jack would go back in time and just stop giving a shit.
Yeah.
Like, that is enough, I think, for, like, Jack to be like, well, okay, fuck
How
this.
long has it been at this point? Like 4 years since they had originally crashed?
Something like that.
And they were in the real world for several years before they went back.
Yes. I believe they were in, like, so the rough timeline of the show.
Uh-huh.
They crash in September of 2004, roughly.
Uh-huh.
They're on the island for, I don't know, let's say 3 months or so. And then they get rescued, or some people get rescued, and some people get left behind. And the people who get rescued go off to live for 3 years. And the people who stay behind get warped back in time to Dharma times.
All the people who stay behind got brought back in time.
Yes.
I thought it was the people who went away that got brought back in time.
They also get brought back in time.
Oh.
So that's kind of the whole thing where, like, Sawyer and Juliet, they've been living there for 3 years. Sawyer's kind of in this position of power. Juliet's this whole doctor. They've got it made in the shade.
Uh-huh.
And then along comes the new guys, Jack and Kate and someone else, I think.
They're coming back in time now.
They came back in time, and they're like, what the heck? How do you guys get back here? And they're just trying to be like, that's why Sawyer's kind of just like, play it cool, guys. Just, I got this under control. Try not to be too weird about this. We've got a whole life here, and we don't want y'all to fuck it up, kind of.
Chill and thrill.
Yeah,
that's the Sawyer mentality.
That's exactly the Sawyer mentality. Hey, we had a lot of Sawyer in this episode. We got
a lot of Sawyer. Did we mention that this episode is centered around Kate?
Yeah, but that secretly means
theoretically is.
Theoretically, it's a Kate episode, but Sawyer casts as long a shadow as he ought to.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We should also mention one more scene that happens of Juliet confronts Jack about, like, his decision to not help with the surgery.
Yeah, this was fucked.
Juliet confronts Jack. Jack is showering. Juliet comes in while he's showering, and Jack has a towel around him and doesn't towel off and then puts his shirt on.
He puts his shirt on his soaking wet body.
That's how you know he has given up.
I can buy that they're back in time.
Yeah.
I can buy that the plane crashed and then the helicopter came and then they lived in the world for 3 years and Sawyer and Juliet went back in time and then 3 years later Jack and Kate and all them went back in time. But what I can't buy is that a man would take a shower and then not towel off before putting his shirt on. That makes no sense.
It stretches the limits of what we are expected to believe.
Exactly. You can't do that on TV.
You simply can't. It's just not done.
Where are the censors?
I'm honestly, like, stunned. I mean, I guess, 2009, a different time.
I guess.
But, like, still, it's, like, stunning. It's one of those things.
Where this country's morality has gone to shit.
Yeah, it's really... Which country is that?
The island country.
Yeah, that is my favorite country.
Yeah, country music,
What's your favorite country
When you think
music?
about it, every country has country music.
I mean, yeah, if you make music in a country, isn't that just country music? Checkmate, atheists.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's right.
There's this really good video that I love it so much on YouTube. And it's one of those videos that I don't think it has, like, millions of views.
Okay.
It has, like, a shockingly small amount of views. Maybe I'm mistaken here in just remembering that. But it's just this video of a guy in, like, a fedora. And he's like, and then she said to me, how can you say, bless you, if you don't believe in God? And then I looked at her with a smile on my face and a twinkle in my eye and said, how can you say, Thursday, if you don't believe in Thor. And then he's smoking a pipe.
Oh, shit. Oh,
it's next level.
Oh, that. Yowzers.
I like it. I think that's what the internet was sort of invented for.
I think that's worse than anything we've ever seen on Lost, potentially.
Probably, definitely.
Oh my God. That's unbelievable. Fucking check in, mate. Wow.
Oh my God. So what
happens in this episode?
What else happened? So Ben is shot.
Ben is shot.
And he's in surgery, and Jack won't do the surgery.
Yes.
So then they just I guess they just seal him up, they're like, all right, you're bleeding internally, but like, what else are we going to do, right?
Exactly. Once it becomes clear that there's no other option, Kate and Juliet hatch a plan to just, I think Juliet's the first one to realize, like, you know what? Like, they're kind of like, there's nothing we can do. If there's no, I guess don't know, and it's like, and then Juliet, it's a twinkle in her eye.
And a smile on her face.
And he says, maybe Richard and the others can help.
Yeah.
So Kate steals Ben very easily.
Yeah. Steals a human boy.
Just steals a human bleeding boy. The
bleeding human boy.
And shoves him into a van, and like they drive off, and the only person that even follows is Sawyer, because Juliet told Sawyer.
Yeah.
And Sawyer comes along, and at first he's like, "Don't bust my chops, old Sawyer." But Sawyer's like, "Damn it, Freckles, I'm here to help."
Yeah.
And so now Sawyer and Kate are off to the others to deliver a bleeding boy. And they deliver it to Richard, and Richard takes the bleeding boy and says, "You know, if I take the bleeding boy from your hands, he's never going to be the same. His innocence will be lost. He will be one of us forever.
This bleeding boy is never coming back. He's becoming one of the others now."
And they agree. And
you better believe it, big boy. Humbug.
Ricky was really into alliteration in the 70s.
Ricky was, yeah, exactly. Smoked a little too much pot, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean.
THC.
I don't know what that stands for.
A little ground up.
What are you talking about? This is all Greek to me.
That reminds me of one of my friends once got caught by his parents with weed, and his dad proceeded in saying a number of like really hilarious things that just proved he didn't really know what weed was. But he was like, "You're trying it out in the oven, aren't you?" And like opens up the oven, and there's nothing there. The oven isn't on, and he's like, he sees there's flavored papers on the table, and he's like, "What are those for?" And my friend is like, "Well, they're flavored. I don't know. They make it taste like blueberries. I don't know." Then the dad looks at his wife and he goes, "You see that? You remember that day he came home smelling all fruity? That's what that was."
I mean, it could have been, but like
it definitely could not have been.
Well, you're right, but
flavored papers have never emitted a.
I guess, yeah, they only emit a taste. I wouldn't know. I've never smoked a weed.
Other good accusations. You're growing it. You're growing it. Came up a lot.
God, that's good.
You're selling it. You're using bags from the house.
Not the bags.
Yeah, exactly.
I will.
Not the sandwich bags from the house.
Son, I love you. I'm concerned for you, but I'm more concerned for our inventory.
Exactly. Oh, I looked in there one day. There was no bag for my sandwich.
Where are we going to put our leftovers, son?
Exactly. It was good. In reality, it was just like a kid with like 2 grams of weed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's a kid, in other words.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds about right.
That was good.
That is good.
So that all occurred in the realm of Lost.
That all occurred in the realm of Lost. Everybody, Richard gets caught by his parents for smoking weed, and and Jacob is there like, "What are you're baking this?
You're baking this. You're baking it in brownies and giving it to the dog."
So Ricky agrees to take Ben, and he takes Ben into the temple, and that's the last we see of Ben.
That's it. That's modern day.
That's modern day, and then it kind of
that's modern day back in time.
Then it cuts back to the present day. Ben wakes up and is greeted by Locke.
Oh yeah,
who says like, "Hey, welcome back to being alive," or something like that.
Welcome back to the realm of the living.
Yeah, he says something very spooky and mysterious like that.
He looks good.
He looks good. He's wearing like a suit. He looks fucking good.
Yeah, he looks like very mob bossy.
He looked like he'd fuck me up.
Very Bob Rossy.
Where does the mob boss end and the Bob Ross begin?
The nature paintings.
Yeah, that tracks. So that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
There's a lot of details and ins and outs and little scenes and interactions that go on where multiple parties talk at each other about what's going on. Is Ben gonna be okay? Oh, where's that? There's a whole thing about how Ben's dad is there. Ben's dad is like
Ben's dad is a nice little man.
You'd think so from this episode, wouldn't you?
Is he not?
He's actually a turbo piece of shit.
Really?
Yeah,
he's a bad dude.
The first, I'm not gonna.
I liked him in this episode.
I'm not gonna go into it so that we can see it for ourselves.
Yeah, I'll learn.
You'll
firsthand.
learn. But in this episode, he spends a lot of it being kind of a he's kind of like friendly to Kate at first, and Kate's like, I don't know what Kate kind of got shuffled into the mechanic garage or something, I guess. And Ben and Roger's just like, hey, you ever? He's like, hey, help me out with this car. Oh, to do. And then as soon as he sees, as soon as like Ben wheels in, he's like, oh my God, that's my son. And he's like concerned at the surgery, and he realizes like, oh, he took my keys to help Saeed escape.
Yeah.
And then he got shot by Saeed. Why would he try to do that? And you know what? I know why. It's because I'm a bad dad, and he lost his mom at a very young age, actually at birth, which is as young an age.
Pretty young. Yeah.
It's pretty young. And just, it's been so hard on that poor boy. And I didn't understand why they didn't that. So that's a whole thing. We learn a little bit about Roger Linus.
Poor old little boy.
Poor old little boy.
Poor boy.
That poor boy.
Poor old boy got shot in the chest.
There's also a lot of stuff about when stuff kind of starts like coalescing. Sawyer sends Miles over. Miles also kind of got sent back in time with Miles is like has been there as long as Sawyer has.
Oh, really?
So Miles is also
Miles is a dude. He's a trusted man.
Yes, Miles is a trusted man for Sawyer.
Has Hurley been there the whole time?
No, I do not think that Hurley has been there the whole time. Hurley, yes. No, he hasn't. Because Hurley gets off the island.
Pardon?
Hurley comes back with Jack and Kate.
Okay, yeah.
So Hurley's fresh, which is also why he's struggling so much with the time travel stuff.
You know what I sort of like about that scenario?
What's that?
Is it was alluded to earlier that there was an issue whenever they were in the helicopter and almost getting to the boat.
Yes.
And Sawyer had to jump off to alleviate excess weight.
Yes.
Because otherwise they wouldn't have made it to the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't want to shame anybody.
Yeah.
But Hurley was that excess weight.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
I think here's my take on that. I think Sawyer had a better chance of making it back to shore.
Of surviving.
Did. And also, as explored in this episode, maybe Sawyer wanted to escape a little bit.
True. Yeah.
So that he didn't have to deal with real world consequences. We'll get into all that in a bit. I kind of want to.
Oh, sorry. I just like to picture that scene where everyone's like, "Oh, we need to lose some weight,"
and then Hurley's like, "I'm gonna make the heroic sacrifice."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're all like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Everyone feels sort of awkward in that moment.
Yeah, and then they're just like, "Oh, well, it makes sense, but are you sure?" Like,
yeah.
Anyways, so the other kind of like goofy little side plot that we get, Sawyer sends Miles over to where Jack and Kate and Hurley are staying to keep them under house arrest, basically, to keep them under wraps, to keep them from like wandering around and being like, "Hey, I'm from the future, and all that sort of stuff, just causing a ruckus. And so through this process, we get a lot of conversations of Miles and Hurley kind of arguing about what it means that they're in the past and whether or not like how does time travel work and do their actions have consequences. Hurley's kind of staring at his hand and being like, well, if Ben's dead, Ben can't send us back here to the island, so we don't exist. And Miles is just like, that's not really how it works. It just kind of like Miles basically lays it out that, like, you know, as the title of the episode says, whatever happened.
I liked his explanation.
Yeah, it's very concise and clear, and it alleviates a lot of stuff, which is that everything that happened in the 70s always happened. We're just experiencing it for the first time because time is weird for our heroes. But
and also everything that happened in the future, theoretically, 30 years from now, whenever you're on the thing, whenever you're on the island, that also already happened.
Yes.
For this present version of you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just, you know, it's all fixed. Saeed always shot Ben. Ben was always taken by Richard. That was always Ben's past. And you know, that can just be the writers you know, sticking it up their own butt a bit. But you know,
sticking it up their own butt a bit.
As far as time travel explanations go, it makes some sense.
It's fine, yeah.
And you get a nice bit of comedy about Hurley and Miles. Hurley kind of driving Miles up the wall about well, if we've already been to the past, how come you don't remember what we're about to say? And Miles is like, that's not, you haven't been listening, you goober. And
this is the present.
This is our present, but it's just because we're experiencing it doesn't mean it hasn't already happened.
Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You should have told that to Hurley.
Yeah, exactly. That would have shut him up.
And Hurley ends up actually raising a salient point through this arguing, which is how the hell doesn't Ben remember getting shot by Saeed, because he meets Saeed in present day times. And I don't know if that ever gets resolved, but it's funny that he brings that up and Miles is just like, well, I actually don't know about that. And so they're just like, well, I don't know.
We don't know.
It's I definitely don't mind the writers being like, you know, we're just
that was fine. Yeah, that was good.
Pretty good.
I was happy with that resolution of it ending on a question mark.
Yeah, absolutely, because it raises because if everything that happened, then what of stuff like that? What of the uncertainties? Which is, of course, with the whole thing about is Ben gonna die?
Is Ben gonna die?
Ben gonna die?
Is Ben gonna die?
So that's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Should we talk about the flashbacks? Because those are a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of covered all the bases of Island time.
Yeah. The flashbacks are mostly very straightforward, save for a few out of left field ones.
Yes.
So maybe we'll just tackle the straightforward ones first, and then we'll move to the...
Let's just start with the basics. So Kate's flashbacks take place before she has returned to the island. So after her escape from the island. Having escaped from the island, she has custody of Aaron and has passed it off as her own child.
She claims to have birthed Aaron while on the island, right?
Yes.
At rescue, she was like, I bore this child.
Exactly. More or less when they were rescued, they concocted a story about how they were absolutely the only survivors. And nobody else is alive.
That's sort of fucked.
Pretty fucked.
Because, well, does Kate assume a different identity or
no? There is an episode dealing with she has to face the consequences for her murder or whatever.
It's bizarre that that story is believed that she birthed a child on the island.
Yeah.
Well, she was clearly not pregnant.
She was clearly
when they arrived, and they were there for 3 months.
Yep, that is I believe that is brought up as well. I think
really
that comes up, and like I think that is addressed at some point. They're like, this obviously doesn't hold up. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. That's just some minor context for where Kate is at this point in her life.
Currently.
She takes Aaron to go visit an old friend. Cassidy. Remember Cassidy? Let's do a little recap. Remember when
she was in the first episode, right?
She was in the
She was in the long con.
She's the protagonist, maybe.
Cassidy is the protagonist.
I think Cassidy might be the protagonist is the thing.
Can I try and recap Cassidy? I'd like to try and
please try to recap
Try and
Cassidy.
stretch what I know about Cassidy. So, Cassidy, we first met her in the long con when Sawyer sort of met this lady Cassidy because he knew that she had money. And he long conned her. He had a relationship with her for several months and they were in love. And then, but it ended with him stealing all of her money. After, though, sort of teaching her how to con people.
True.
And essentially turning her to a future of crime.
Yes.
So then we don't see Cassidy again for, I guess, a couple months.
Yes.
And then Kate meets Cassidy when she's on the run from the law.
Yes.
But trying to go see her mother, even though the FBI is staking out her mother's house.
Yes.
And Cassidy... Kate meets Cassidy when Cassidy is pulling a shitty con, trying to sell fake necklaces.
Yep.
Kate helps Cassidy out because I guess that's what criminals do.
Yeah.
And then Cassidy, to return the favor, says, "I will help you swindle the FBI." And what I like about this episode, and that episode in particular, is Cassidy is very much defined by her naivety. She's it's very naive to swindle the FBI.
Yep.
She's sort of fooled by Kate. She was fooled by Sawyer earlier. And then, so we don't see Cassidy again after she helps Kate swindle the FBI. And now we see Cassidy 2 years after Kate has left the island. And Cassidy is raising Sawyer's child, and Kate is raising Claire's child, and they're just mom friends.
Yep, they're just mom pals. It's great.
And now Cassidy is the most intuitive, see through all your bullshit person in the world.
Yes. Kate, I believe, comes through. Kate, it is implied that Kate tells it all to Cassidy, the full Monty. There's people back on the island. This baby's not mine, etc., etc. No, he actually doesn't talk about how his baby's not mine.
No, she does because it's alluded to later. She's like, "You took that baby."
But when they first meet, she says Sawyer's back on the island, and Cassidy's oh, Sawyer broke your heart too, eh? I know that look.
Yeah, that's true actually.
And he's like, is the baby Sawyer's? And Kate's like, no, the baby's not Sawyer's. And Cassidy's immediately like, that baby's not yours, isn't it?
Oh yeah, because she's sees through all the bullshit.
She just cuts through it, man. Mom powers.
Yeah, mom powers.
She's a real mom, and Kate is not a real mom.
Whenever you've birthed the protagonist's child, you get endowed with powers.
You get a tremendous wiseness.
Yeah.
Or a wisdom, as it's called sometimes.
A wiseness, I like. The old wise tale.
Oh, boy. Holy shit. Can I say that I love this fucking show because I love the character of Cassidy?
Yes.
It's such a, her and Kate's relationship over in the course of 2 episodes is one of the most insane relationships that has ever been forged.
They're best friends for no reason. They're best friends. They don't trust each other. They barely know each other.
Kate completely confesses not only her incredible murder, but her fantastical island journey.
Exactly. And Cassidy's like, okay.
Cool.
And Cassidy knows when to call bullshit, too. She's like, I buy all that, but that's not your baby.
That's not your baby.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's good.
Cassidy is just very much an example of a character of convenience.
Yeah, it's just we need a character for Kate to convince, just we need a character to fill out space.
Yeah.
Let's bring back this classic actress.
Yeah, exactly. And we need someone to accomplish these goals that we've set in terms of plot being driven forward. We just need her to like do these things, and it's like, well, does it make sense that this character could do these things? It doesn't matter. She'll do them.
It doesn't matter. She's got to do them because the plot says so.
She'll evade the FBI and then raise a child with Kate. It's weird.
It's tremendous.
It's
really it's awesome in the sense of it inspires awe.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
It's awesome in the classic sense.
So then
the next flash. How does that scene resolve? The first scene of them talking.
That's just it. She's like, sorry, it broke your heart, and she's like, no.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly it. So the next flashback we see opens on a crazy scene that doesn't make sense. Next time we flashback, a bunch of people are on a dock. Sun is there, has a gun to Ben's head, and Ben is like, if we go back to the island, something. And then Kate storms in and is like, you guys are going back to the island? This is crazy talk. I'll never go back to that stupid place. And drives off.
Who is there? Hurley's there. Sun is there pointing a gun at Ben's face.
Jack is
there.
There may have been more people there. It all happened so fast. I could not catch them all.
Is Saeed there?
Saeed might be there. I believe the whole off-island squad is there.
Yeah.
And that is the whole off-island squad.
Okay. That's fucked. Yeah, that was so out of nowhere and was never...
No.
I mean, yeah. That's why you really couldn't watch an episode in this season standalone because that is totally incomprehensible to me.
I mean, so much of this episode relies on I think there are definitely early seasons of Lost. You can get away with some standalone episodes.
Yeah.
But you really reach a point in the last half of Lost where there's just nothing standalone. Everything relies on you knowing how these guys are back in time and these guys are not as back in time.
Yeah, exactly. They're back in time, but it took them longer to get there.
Exactly. It's just it's nonsense. But it's also a dizzying thrill
it's a dizzying delight.
It's a dizzying delight. So Kate drives off, and then Kate goes grocery shopping to take her mind off this crazy dock scene, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at her flip phone, sees a message from Jack Shepherd, and closes it. But then she looks around, and where's Erin? She's lost Erin.
Her kid is gone.
And she's panicking, and she's running through the grocery store. And then she sees a lady with long blonde hair taking Erin away. And she runs up, and he's like, that's my son. And the lady turns around, and he's like, this is your son? Oh, I was just taking her. He looked lost. I was taking her up front to see if you were. Here you go. And Kate's visibly distraught. She's like, fuck, oh shit. So then
lost me old kid there.
I almost lost my kid from looking at my 2006 Nokia Razr phone or whatever. That's a phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motorola Razr.
Yeah, Motorola's Razr. What are Nokia's? N-Gauges?
I don't know.
He's looking at its 2004 Nokia N-Gauge, and got distracted and lost her child. So then she goes to unwind about Cassie about it. And she's like, I lost my child and I was distraught, but I also expected it. And why do you think that is? And Cassidy, without missing a beat, is like, you expected him to be took because you took him. And Kate's like, no. Claire was gone. Claire disappeared. Erin was just left behind. I had to take Erin. Erin needed me. And Cassidy, the wisest wizard of all
of a sudden
says, you needed him.
Bum, 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 bum.
So I like this world where Cassidy just is the wisest person ever just by flipping it back on Kate.
Oh yeah.
Just
he needed me. You needed him. When the fun thing about that too is that in the situation it's he needed Kate.
Yeah, Erin definitely lost his real mother. Erin needed something for sure.
Yeah, exactly. He was a baby.
Yeah, it's wasn't that awfully selfish of you, really, Kate, to take this child who lost a mother? Aren't you just kind of selfish? And it's well, a little bit maybe, but also definitely that's an infant child.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think it would be a lot more selfish for Kate to just be like, well, this infant child is not my problem. Anyways,
fucking ridiculous.
Kate's like, I had to murder my father, and Cassidy's like, your father had to murder you.
And then she was like, I can't do taco night. And Cassidy was like, taco night can't handle you. That sounds like really good, like generic advice, like, no, girl, taco night's not good enough for you.
It's really good.
Yeah, taco night fucking rules. Let's be real here.
Yes, taco night owns, and I haven't had a taco in a dog's age, and that's a damn shame. So the final scene is Kate goes to Claire's mother, and Claire's mother in the past has been like harassing them about like, is my my daughter was on that plane. I miss her terribly, but I'm glad you guys made it out. And then Kate says like, well, actually, your daughter's alive. We left her behind. And she's like, why the fuck did you do that? That's twisted.
Yeah,
you lied
It's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years. You lied to everybody about that. Why would you do that? And Kate, I don't remember what Kate's response is, but it's weak. It's super weak.
I can't remember. I tried to remember, but if it were strong, we would remember.
Exactly. If it were strong, we would remember it, but we can't.
But then she tells the mother, Claire's mother, like,
yes.
But you have a grandson that I stole.
You have a grandson that I stole, and he's over there, and I've decided that I'm going to go back to the island, after all, to find Claire and to bring her home. We were wrong to leave her behind, and so I know this is a lot to take in, but please go take care of your grandchild while I go rescue your daughter. And that's that. It's a pretty weird scene.
But but the mother asks Kate, like, why did you take him? And Kate is like, because I needed him. Echoing Cassidy, just further proving that Cassidy is now very wise when before she was defined by naivety.
Cassidy's the wisest person ever. Cassidy should be revealed that it should have been revealed that, like, that scene we saw where it's like the first time we see Jacob and she's like weaving a loom and he's fishing and he's having a mystic chat with that guy. Should have been Cassidy instead.
It should have been Cassidy.
It really should have been Cassidy.
Cassidy was Jacob the whole time.
Yeah. Jacob should have pulled off the mask and been like, it's me, Cassidy, the whole time. Jacob, you thought Jacob was giving you guys commands, but really, you guys were commanding Jacob.
Yeah.
So that's so Kate says goodbye to Aaron, and then that's it. That's the
whole episode.
There's I don't even know if that's the whole episode, because the episode is like pretty wall to wall with scenes. There's a scene of Kate and Sawyer kind of like being real about like Sawyer kind of is real about why he jumped from the helicopter, and he's like, I kind of got to admit I would have been a bad boyfriend, just like I would have been a bad dad to that kid that I abandoned. Dad. But it's different now. I'm married to Juliet, and I love her a lot.
We're doing great.
There's a lot of just like character interactions in this episode.
It's a big episode.
It's a big, dense episode. What did you think of this episode?
Honestly, above average episode.
Hell yeah.
I definitely sort of resent how comical, unintentionally comical things are.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of pure entertainment value, it is undeniable.
Oh,
They do not let up for a second. They pack it with like so much like life or death shit.
Yeah.
Like Ben is dying. Kate is stealing a baby.
Yeah.
Sawyer is married. Jack is like just letting kids die now.
That's the pace of season 5.
Son is pointing a gun at Ben Linus's head, which is not explained in the least, which I love.
Locke is a mob boss now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's everything. Like, that's what I like about season 5 is that not that it's good, just that its pace is insane. insane.
Yeah.
It just stays at like a breakneck pace for the whole time.
Yeah, I haven't really seen something like that in a long time at least, but I can't think of a proper parallel. It's like, I don't know. It was one of the quickest moving things I've ever seen on TV.
It's a lot. It's definitely a heck of an episode of the show Lost.
It was a heck-isode.
Before we wrap this up, what do you say we roll for our next boy?
Yeah.
Why don't you pull up a list of Lost episodes?
Let me pull up list of Lost episodes here. You'll pull up random.org, consult the old static oracle.
Yes. Random.org.
Should we call it the oracle?
We should call it Cassidy.
Cassidy, because it's the wisest of them all.
Yes, exactly. I trust Cassidy to guide me through
Which
any.
Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Mm-hmm. All
right. What are we looking at?
We are looking at. Let me input 120, and we generate 49.
49. We're looking at a holy shit.
Ooh.
Second part of the season 2 finale.
Oh, wow. Is that Live Together, Die Alone part 2?
That is Live Together, Die Alone.
Part 2?
Part 2.
Part 2. All right.
We're about Desmond.
All right.
We're getting a lot of Desmond episodes.
Good. I love that boy. We're gonna watch the finale of season 2. We've already watched the finale of season 1, so this will.
We watched the first part of the season 1 finale. Now we're gonna watch the second part of the season 2 finale.
We've watched the third part of the season 1 finale.
The third part?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
Oh, yeah, because we saw them stare up.
Yeah, we saw that iconic image.
There's 3 parts. That's too many parts.
That's too many parts.
Fuckers.
It's pretty fucked.
It's fucked.
It's fucked. The show Lost is a little fucked. But it's a thrill a minute sometimes, and other times it's bad, and other times it's good, and it's really a lot all the time.
Yeah. Good summation.
Lost, more like lots. There's a lots to this show. Okay. Thanks for listening to our silly episode.
For listening.
I've been Bean.
I've been James.
And like we say at the end of every silly episode, get